History. History is composed of time and events, and 50 years of history covers a lot of time and a lot of events. The Redemptorists have been in Thailand for 50 years, and during that time many hopes were fulfilled and even more than expected. There were times for smiles and times for tears. Over the years, with the blessings of God, the ranks of the Redemptorists grew and prospered. The birth and beginnings of the Redemptorists in Thailand follows an unusual series of events. Because of a world war, the birth of the Redemptorists in the Thai church was delayed. But since the birth and growth of the Redemptorists in Thailand, they have been fulfilling the motto given by their founder, St. Alphonsus, "With the Lord there is plentiful redemption." How best to describe the history of the Redemptorists in Thailand for the last 50 years? It can be said, the harvest is great, and the laborers are few, but growing. The Holy See asked the Redemptorists to open a mission in Thailand just before World War II. But then the war came, and it was impossible to travel to what was then called Siam. After the war, travel was safe again, so preparations were made for the new mission that had been delayed for nearly 10 years. On the 6th of March, 1948, Fathers Clarence Duhart, Roger Godbout, Robert Lerebier, and Edward Kane boarded a cargo ship in San Francisco. The journey of the Redemptorists to Thailand had begun. They were on their way to a country they only knew from the movie The King and I. They had no idea what was ahead of them. World War II was over, but Asia was still rebuilding the destruction caused by the war. Nevertheless, they pressed forward, full of great anticipation for the future of the congregation in Thailand. Once the cargo ship pulled away from the shores of California, they were on their way, ready to start the work of the Redemptorists in a new and strange land. "50 years ago, northern Thailand was rainforest and jungle, with small villages and rice fields hollowed out amongst the trees. At that time, there were still wild elephants and tigers roaming the area. Communication was virtually non-existent in the north. As far as roads go, there were few of them, and most of the roads that existed were actually dirt trails of ox carts. But that did not daunt the four missionaries. They went from village to village looking for souls. They used all sorts of ways to get to these villages, by horseback, by ox cart, by boat, and by foot, and they traveled for days and days at a time, ministering to the faithful they could find. They prayed the Mass, gave the sacraments, and taught catechism. St. Alphonsus had given his men the goal of seeking out the souls of the most abandoned. The Congregation of the Most Holy Redeemer started its Thailand mission in a then remote northeastern province called Sakonnakhon. In that province there was a village called Chiang Ming. A large community of Catholics lived there. It was far from any developed area, but was within reasonable traveling distance to at least 6 other Christian communities. It seemed ideal. So the 4 priests decided to make Chiang Ming their headquarters. It was the beginnings of the Redemptorist apostolate in Thailand. They would now begin to administer to Chiang Ming and those other Christian communities in the area. They eagerly began to care for these villages, many of whom had not seen a priest for years. The work grew and grew, and the need for more missionaries became apparent. The second group of missionaries, arriving almost a year from the time the first missionaries left America, were Father Charles Cotant, Father Dime, and they joined their converts in Chiang Ming in February 1949. And together they preached the Word of God, cared for the sick, dispensed the sacraments, and taught the faith to eager souls, young and old. Suddenly, the apostolate of the Redemptorists exploded in new work. Bishop Baye, a French missionary bishop, decided to give the work of the entire northeast of Thailand to the Redemptorists. It included the provinces of Khon Kaen, Udon, Nong Khai, and Loei. The Redemptorists accepted this great responsibility with characteristic fervor and drive. In November of 1949, the Bishop of Bangkok called Father Godbout and Cotant down to Bangkok. He wanted the Redemptorists to start work for the English-speaking foreigners residing in his diocese of Bangkok. The fathers accepted the urgent need of the bishop and rented a house on a small lane in Bangkok. They took the garage of the house and turned it into a chapel. They named the chapel Our Lady of the Garage. Over the years, the Redemptorist laborers in the vineyard of the Lord grew in dramatic numbers. In 1951, Fathers Wilfred Lowry, Preston Smith joined their confreres in the Thai vineyard. A year later, they were followed by Father Robert Martin and Francis Gautreau. The Redemptorist presence in Thailand was on the move. In the year 1953, the Apostolic Prefecture of Tara was divided into 3 parts. One of those parts, the part we were already working in, became a prefecture. It was called the Prefecture of Udon. A prefecture is a territorial division or jurisdiction. It does not have the full canonical identity of a diocese. Father Duhart was named the first prefect apostolic. He became a prelate and in time a bishop. However, even as prelate, he had many of the executive powers of a bishop. Monsignor Duhart was by now, after many years in Thailand, a veteran missionary. He divided the work of the prefecture among his younger confreres. The work of the prefecture would truly become part of the flesh and blood of the Redemptorists in Thailand. Many years after the prefecture was established, a beautiful cathedral was built dedicated to our Mother of Perpetual Help, the patroness of the Redemptorists all over the world. And now she was the patroness of the new prefecture. The cathedral was created and built by the Redemptorist brother Ryan. He made the plans, and in labor of love, he built this magnificent structure to the Mother of God. This cathedral beautifully illustrates the new religious architecture the Redemptorists brought to Thailand. Brother Ryan built many of the buildings, churches, and schools still used today by the Redemptorists in Thailand. In the past half-century, group after group of young American missionaries arrived in Thailand. They joined their older confreres in the apostolate. Here we see some of them: Fathers John Boucher, Tom Griffith, Leo Travis, Richard Thiele, Patrick Morrissey, Harry Thiel, and many other priests. They are gathered together to discuss the purpose of their activities in Thailand and to determine if they are being true to the ideals that brought them here to do the work of God.